Last 2 weeks in Michigan politics, election season is over. Now some are celebrating the victory of President-elect Donald Trump, while others fear how his second term may impact communities here in Michigan. Plus, local politics have been just as busy, from a potential shift at the top of the Grand Rapids leadership to controversy over a plan to dramatically change the city's riverfront skyline. We bring you the latest. We're back after the election, ready to keep bringing you the week in Michigan politics, both online and streaming on 13+. I'm Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on your side rundown. And we begin with the news that's followed the re-election of former President and now President-elect Donald Trump. Throughout the last couple weeks, Trump has been making selections for who he'd like to see fill his administration come January. And for the man who helped lead Donald Trump to victory here in Michigan, the president-elect has now nominated him for a key position in the State Department. Trump announcing this week he will nominate former West Michigan Congressman and current State Republican Chair Pete Hoekstra to serve as U.S. Ambassador to Canada. A release sent out Wednesday night announced Pete Hoekstra had been chosen to potentially fill that role. Hoekstra served Michigan's 2nd District in Congress from 1993 to 2011. He was also the U.S. ambassador to the Netherlands during part of Trump's first term. He has led the state party for the better part of the last year, taking over from his predecessor, Christina Caramo, amid seemingly troubled waters for the party at the time, marked by inter-party conflict. The Senate will need to confirm Hoekstra's nomination to be ambassador. And as Trump released his cabinet picks at record pace, seemingly, many are wondering what big changes could soon follow. There could be a change to our drinking water, as Trump's choice for Secretary for Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has signaled wanting to remove fluoride in our water. 13 on your side, Lauren Baker spoke with experts on RFK Jr.'s proposal and Grand Rapids' role in first introducing fluoride to our drinking water.
It's been deemed a safe way to help communities improve dental health. The addition of fluoride into our drinking water.
This is considered to be one of the greatest public health success stories.
Candace Smith, with tours around Michigan, says Grand Rapids was the first city in the world to add fluoride to water in 1945 and quickly influenced other cities to do the same after research showed a decline in tooth decay among school-age children.
Almost immediately, they started seeing changes in dental health where the kids were doing better with their dental health, and they found a 60% drop in cavities in the city of Grand Rapids.
But could we see the removal of this mineral from our drinking water? Well, there's a chance. Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., wrote on X on November 2nd, saying the Trump White House will advise for the removal of fluoride in public water because of claims associated to things like arthritis, bone fractures, and cancer.
We definitely should be keeping the fluoride in the water, and all studies say that.
Experts like President of the American Association of Dental Editors and journalist Chris Smiley say they recognize there is scrutiny around some studies on fluoride in drinking water, including the National Toxicology Panel report that looked at the impact of high levels of fluoride in other countries. But he says even with this research and other studies, it's been proven smaller usage of fluoride helps improve dental health.
And all the existing evidence strongly support the safety and efficacy of community water fluoridation for cavity control that's currently used in the United States.
This year, the CDC also released a statement on this topic saying, quote, evidence shows that water fluoridation prevents tooth decay by providing frequent and consistent contact with low levels of fluoride, ultimately reducing tooth decay by 25% in children and adults. While only time will tell what will happen to the future of our drinking water, Smith says it's important to consider the historical impact of fluoride in drinking water.
Because there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and this is the health of people. So we want to make sure that we do what's right for our children, for the health of the general public, and the impacts that will have down the road.
And while some are celebrating Trump's ascendancy back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, others are fearful for what they believe his next administration could mean for their communities. And that includes some in the LGBTQ community. While some see same-sex marriage as a settled issue here in the U.S., a now dormant ban in Michigan is causing concern for some under a judicial system that could further be influenced by the new administration. The return of President-elect Donald Trump to the White House has been a cause of celebration for many.
I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body.
But for others, including many in Michigan's LGBTQ community, the future is a reason for deep concern.
I am hearing a lot of concerns from folks in the LGBTQ community, and I think they're right to be concerned.
State Representative Jason Morgan, who's been married to his husband for the past year, introduced a resolution to the State House 2 summers ago that would ask the voters of the state whether to repeal its sleeper ban on same-sex marriage.
A lot of folks don't realize that, the Supreme Court in 2015, in the case of Obergefell v. Hodges, legalized same-sex marriage nationally. Michigan has had a ban on our constitutional books since 2004.
But why now? And what might that have to do with the president-elect? Following the overturning of Roe v. Wade, some have felt with the current makeup of the Supreme Court and potentially more socially conservative-leaning justices Trump could appoint in a second term, their right to marry might be next.
It's a very strange time in Michigan and in our country where future generations may not have the same rights and protections that we have fought so hard for today.
As Roe had stood on similar grounds to Obergefell, Justice Clarence Thomas, in a concurring opinion, signaling support for reconsidering that case, among others. The concerns leading to the bipartisan passage of the Respect for Marriage Act later that year, which now requires states to legally recognize those marriages performed in states and times where it is legal. For some, they believed the push went too far unnecessarily.
While this bill does not move the needle on same-sex marriage, this legislation will raise serious issues for religious liberty.
But for many like Morgan, he says it's a core backstop as they work for more. And this can be a stressful time of the year for many after either the recent election or upcoming holidays. A psychologist at Mosaic Counseling has some tips on how to deal with the added stress people may be feeling right now. They include practicing grounding techniques. If you're feeling overwhelmed at work or in a tense situation, take some slow, deep breaths. Notice your surroundings and tune in to your 5 senses. And finally, if your environment is too overwhelming, go outside. The expert says getting in touch with nature can be beneficial.
Those feelings that kind of might mean that they're in a fight or flight state, like a racing heart or racing thoughts or just an edginess or just an inability to relax. You can kind of do those strategies on your own. And then we talk about other things you can do going forward to kind of help yourself go into a relaxed state.
Elzinga also encourages everyone to express gratitude and do small acts of kindness every day. She says small acts of kindness tend to do more for the person who's performing them. 3 new towers to touch the sky. That's the idea behind a proposal to add to Grand Rapids' riverfront skyline, but not everyone feels the current form of the plan is a good one. Coming up, why some feel the plan could end up taking more from the public than it would be giving back. At the state capitol, lawmakers have signed off on a plan to make it easier for people to give the gift of life. We explain how it could potentially save thousands of dollars for those who say yes to organ donation. A selfless act could be the difference between life and death for thousands across the state of Michigan.
Currently in the state of Michigan, about 2,500 people are waiting for a life-saving organ, and 80% of those people are waiting for a kidney.
But many times, saving a life comes at a cost.
There should be no medical costs related to being a living organ donor. It's just these other costs that we feel have created a barrier to people saying yes.
While many organ donors are those who have passed but registered with the state to be a donor, live organ donation is also an option, but costs for live donors like travel and lodging, lost wages, and childcare can weigh on those wanting to say yes.
The number of living organ donors has actually remained flat.
Now the state is hoping to change things. A new law signed last week is set to give a new tax credit to live organ donors, up to $10,000 to help cover donation-related expenses.
This is a way to honor folks who are living.
State Representative Felicia Brabeck authored the bill.
We just kind of followed the lead of other states, and that 10,000 number at this point seems to be able to almost cover. Not for everyone. It's not going to cover for everyone all those expenses that they'll incur, but it is the number that we've seen throughout the nation.
It's something that those like Gift of Life Michigan, the state's organ donation organization, hope will grow opportunities to save the lives of those around the state.
We're hoping that removing some of these costs for people, allowing them to recover some of these costs on their income taxes, will help them say yes.
Another big change could be coming at the top of Grand Rapids city leadership. 13 on your side learned this week and locally broke the news that City Manager Mark Washington is in the running for a new job out of state. If selected, the timing of his departure would come just as Mayor Rosalind Bliss is leaving office. Washington is one of 4 being considered to be the next city manager in Dallas, Texas. He's been the city manager here in Grand Rapids since 2018, but does have experience working for the cities of Fort Worth and Austin. We have the entire statement from Washington up on our website now, but here are a couple excerpts. Quote, "When my contract approval was delayed for more than a month until after the November elections, as an elected appointed official, I began to explore options. This was not out of a desire to leave Grand Rapids, but rather out of a need to ensure a clear future for me and for my family." He goes on to later say, quote, "Being named as a semifinalist is not an indication of any decision to separate employment, as it is still early in the recruitment process and there are no decisions for me to make at this point. Please know that my passion and commitment to this community has not changed, and I will continue to give my very best every day." 13 on your side did request an on-camera interview with Washington the day we learned about his candidacy. At the time, the city declined. The Grand Rapids skyline would change with the proposed development of the Fulton Towers along the river. But some are opposed to the current plans because of the lack of affordable housing in the city. We were at a public hearing on that project last week to hear what those concerns were. House with more in the wings as the Grand Rapids City Commission met on Tuesday. The biggest item on the agenda, a public hearing on what supporters say would be a transformational project.
The news called it skyline changing, but it will also have a major positive benefit at the human scale level.
An ambitious plan to add 3 new towers to the city's riverfront skyline, with a nearly $800 million estimated price tag for development costs.
Just over 900 full-time jobs, over 650 residential units, new shops and restaurants, and creating a new level of vibrancy downtown.
But not everyone thinks the current proposal is a good idea. The amount of possible incentives for the developers in the form of things like tax exemptions and local tax captures have some concerns that the public may end up giving much more than they'd be getting back.
This is a lot of money going to a project that's mostly going to benefit people who have a ton of money to begin with.
The estimate on maximum reimbursement for the plan through incentives sits at over $500 million. Developers have proposed an agreement that would include an $8.5 million contribution to the city's Affordable Housing Fund. But for some, with the area's affordable housing shortages, they say it's not enough.
Together West Michigan does not oppose private development. What we do oppose is the unacceptably small affordable housing contribution being proposed.
Some say more is just not viable.
We've spent several years developing the economic model for this project and how to incorporate support for affordable housing in close collaboration with both current and past city staff. And the proposed contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund is what the project can support.
As Tuesday's was simply a public hearing,
Commissioners are not expected to vote on the proposal until early December.
Major upgrades are coming to the John Ball Zoo in Grand Rapids. This week, the community is getting its first look at the zoo's 10-year plan, which will include many new animals. 13 on your side, Stephen Bonner spoke with the CEO of the zoo about what those plans are and how they further their conservation efforts.
That's right. The zoo is planning on some major changes that aim to improve the overall experience while still living up to those conservation and sustainability goals.
The John Ball Zoo is unveiling its plans for the next 10 years to West Michigan on the heels of a record-breaking attendance year of more than 800,000 guests. John Ball Zoo CEO Peter Drencio says the zoo is staying true to being conservation-focused as it moves forward with expansion plans.
We're telling our story about the conservation work we're doing, and I think people are excited to learn and see that. We're also building impactful habitats. Some of the key elements in the master plan is the African expansion, sea lions, and South American forest.
The African habitat expansion will bring giraffes to the zoo and will give visitors a new and unique experience.
The African expansion is first, and we're going to bring giraffes, at least 5 giraffes, and we'll be able to breed giraffes. And there will be giraffe feeding for the public.
This expansion can also serve as a framework for further expansions with possibilities for animals like ostrich, antelope, or even rhinos. But one of the first changes you'll notice to the zoo is a habitat meant to inspire that will be front and center as soon as you walk inside.
The sea lion habitat is in the central plaza where Monty Island currently is. We're going to use the elevation to our advantage. At the lower level, you're going to walk through a tunnel that goes under the water, and sea lions will swim over you. And then you'll enter into a room that you can sit and watch them swim by, or you can go around it and look at sea lions from the top, and there'll also be a sea lion show as part of the habitat as well.
And one of the biggest announcements is what Drencio said will be the largest indoor biome in North America and will lead to the zoo being open year-round.
It's a good 40 feet tall with a 30-foot waterfall actually in it, and it will be an hour and a half or more experience, and it will create the foundation of the winter zoo. Imagine coming out here in January, it's snowing outside, and you enter this oasis of the South American forest, the largest indoor biome in North America. It'll house jaguars, capybaras, New World primates.
The zoo's master plan also includes adding a new education facility and gift shop while repurposing the old gift shop into a new experience for guests.
And the existing gift shop will be repurposed into a conservation center where guests will be able to go through and see all of the conservation work that we do and learn about why their visit matters.
The 10-year master plan from the zoo has sustainability and conservation at its focus, with goals of LEED and site certifications and expanding the zoo's conservation efforts here and across the globe. The John Ball Zoo is required to submit a master plan to the Kent County Board of Commissioners every 10 years. The plan is laid out into 5 phases, beginning with the parking lot expansion and Africa habitat expansion. The zoo estimates the master plan cost at $300 million. The County Board of Commissioners approved the parking lot expansion earlier this year. For 13 on your side, I'm Stephen Bonner.
And this week, people in Kent County are getting the chance to learn about those big changes coming to the zoo. Zoo leaders met with the community in Cedar Springs to talk about the 10-year master plan. Some of the highlights include an African habitat expansion that will bring giraffes to the zoo, as we mentioned. They'll also have an indoor biome, which will allow the zoo to be open year-round. We spoke with a woman from Sparta whose family members come from all over the state once a year to visit the zoo.
I just wanted to see what the plans were and, get my 2 cents in about, I don't know if they need to take up so much of the park with parking, but I'm excited about some of the expansion activities. It's really exciting seeing all of the renderings and the progress. I know it's still a process for them.
And you can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't taste it, but a radioactive gas that can be found in soil is a concern in the event that it builds up inside a home. In fact, the Kent County Health Department says radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S. among non-smokers. Now, as we get ready to get our homes ready for winter, officials say testing can be even more important, and it's why some here in Kent County, these health officials are offering the chance to do it for free.
We like to test in the winter because your house is closed up. You're not, you don't have your windows open, you don't have your door open, and you're not airing out the house. So it's more likely to build up to higher levels in the winter.
And in some areas, state data suggests the rate of tested households with elevated radon levels is higher than in others.
When you're looking at the data, you'll see that even where there is testing, some areas tend to test high at or above the action level of 4 picocuries per liter more often than other areas of the state.
At Kent County's health department, officials consider this to be a moderate area for radon. And now the department is offering the chance to test for this potentially dangerous gas for free.
We have free radon kits for November for Lung Cancer Awareness Month. We will also have free radon kits in January during Radon Action Month.
But how do these tests work?
Basically, you're just going to open up an envelope, set it out for 3 to 7 days, seal it back up, and mail it in. We really want you to test the lowest habitable level of your house. So if you have a basement and you use that basement, test your basement. If your house is on a slab, test your first floor.
And if you do find elevated levels in your home, the county health department recommends working with a registered radon mitigation company who can handle the job.
They're going to come in and see what they can do to get that radon out of your house or keep it from getting into your house in the first place. That might be as simple as filling cracks, covering holes from like pipes in your floor, or it may be a little more expensive or more expansive where you would need to seal it and vent it out with a fan.
And that's the rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up with all the top political stories of the day, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com. We'll see you next week.